Put my feelings on safety, so I don't go shooting where your heart be. Feelings so deep in my feelings, deep in, swimming in my feelings. I've been here before, but it feels like I'm drowning. Like a glimpse from the past, you conceal the dark. I'm in my ride. You got 24 seconds. Can you beat the shot clock? Ooh, no, I'll never get over you. Maybe it's your love, it's too good to be true. Baby boy, your love got me tripping on you. Oh, you got me questioning, what have you done to me? I love the way you do it to me. I'm just saying, boy, you playing, you gon' let it wind down. Wanna be a savage, thinking about yourself. I had to attack, had to leave you on the shelf. But I think that I'm done tripping, I'm tripping. Boot up, boot up. I just wanna know what's up, do you feel it? Cause I think I'm in love. Got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. I wanna do this again. How could you turn? How could you switch it up on me? Boot up, boot up, boot up, boot up. My bad for tripping on you, tripping on you. Shot clock.
Don't sleep, you gon' miss your opportunity.
Shot clock.
Ella Mai is not the quiet, innocent R&B sweetheart the industry made her out to be. She didn't come out of nowhere with Boot Up. She didn't get lucky with a Grammy. And no, she's not just low-key. That whole image, manufactured, marketed, controlled. Because the truth is, Ella Mai's career has been one long PR campaign designed to look effortless, while behind the scenes, it's been anything but. You ever wonder why she rarely speaks publicly unless it's through perfectly polished interviews? Why so many of her songs feel like they're written from a distance, not lived experience? There's a reason. Her breakout hit Boot Up wasn't even written for her. Her biggest controversy, the Jacquees remix, turned into a silence campaign. And her personal life? Completely off limits. Unless you're willing to read between the lines of cryptic captions and courtside seats with a certain NBA star. And let's not forget, while other R&B girls were grinding through label politics and messy public breakups, Ella Mai was being ushered in by DJ Mustard, pushed by major platforms, and protected from the mess. But here's the hot take. All that polish? It may have cost her the one thing fans actually crave, authenticity, because in an era where transparency sells, Ella Mai is still playing it safe. And that safety might be exactly why her spotlight is fading faster than anyone expected. So today we're breaking it down. The industry blueprint, the quiet career stall, the relationship she refuses to confirm, and the real reason some fans think Ella Mai might have peaked way too early. So how did we get here? How did Ella Mai become the face of safe R&B, the soft-spoken Brit with zero mess attached to her name, at least on the surface? It all started with how she was introduced to the public. Not through a scandal, not through some messy artist beef, but through a perfectly timed, massively pushed love song, Boot Up. A track that had been floating around for over a year before suddenly catching fire on social media. But here's the twist most people missed. Boot Up wasn't even originally written for her. It had been sitting in the vault, written by someone else, passed around. Then, boom, handed to Ella and spun into gold. Overnight, she became the face of a song that, let's be real, wasn't built on her story. And from that moment on, the branding was set in stone. Ella Mai was going to be the classy one. The girl who sings about love and heartbreak, not who she's actually dating. No messy headlines, no IG Live rants, no public tears, just moody visuals, polished interviews, and music that sounded vulnerable, but somehow never too personal. The public ate it up. She had the accent, the dimples, the perfect balance of mystery and emotion. And the industry? Oh, they loved it. DJ Mustard had found his R&B star, and everyone involved played their roles perfectly. Roll out the singles, secure the late-night performances, drop the album with minimal promo but maximum impact. It felt organic, but it wasn't. What fans didn't realize was that Ella Mai's image was being built like a brand. Curated, filtered, controlled. No messy tweets, no behind-the-scenes drama. Just one slow drip of music and a perfectly still, untouchable presence. And it worked, until it didn't. Because once the Boot Up hype started fading, people began asking, who is Ella Mai really? And more importantly, why does she feel so distant from her own story? And that's where the cracks started to show, because you can only stay mysterious for so long before people stop caring, or worse, start looking closer. And when they did, that's when things got interesting. Let's talk about the moment Ella Mai's image started to crack, the Jacquees Trip remix scandal. Now on paper, it sounds minor. Jacquees remixed her song Trip, dropped it on YouTube and SoundCloud, and it blew up. It got millions of streams in days. Some fans even preferred it to her original. Then, poof, the remix disappeared. Gone. Wiped clean off the internet like it never happened. At first, people thought it was just copyright enforcement, like the label stepped in. But then Jacquees made it clear he didn't take it down. Ella Mai's team did. Specifically, DJ Mustard came out publicly, saying Ella didn't even know about it. I made the call. Which sounds convenient, because let's be honest, the remix wasn't hurting her. It was keeping the song hot. Fans were eating it up. Radio stations were spinning his version. Even other artists were posting about it. So why yank it? Here's the hot take. Ella Mai's team wasn't just protecting her song, they were protecting her control, or at least the illusion of it. This was her moment, her second hit, her sophomore follow-up to Boot Up. And here comes Jacquees riding the wave, arguably doing it better, and definitely doing it louder. All without the backing of a massive label rollout. And that threatened the brand. Because remember, Ella Mai's whole appeal was based on this tightly curated introvert R&B goddess vibe. Soft-spoken, poised, untouched by drama. So if her song gets eclipsed by a remix from a dude known for wild antics and king of R&B debates, that clean image? Compromise. And here's where it gets really interesting. After the remix got pulled, Jacquees started making little comments, tweets, shade, nothing direct, but you could tell he felt slighted. Meanwhile, Ella Mai, dead silent. No comment, no clapback, no Instagram live to clear the air, just crickets, which was very on-brand. But also, it left room for interpretation and speculation. And this is where we see the first real pattern, silence as strategy. Ella Mai doesn't respond to controversy. She lets the machine do the talking. Whether that's DJ Mustard issuing statements, her team scrubbing the internet, or carefully worded press releases. It's all by design. But the problem is, when you never speak up, people start filling in the blanks for you. And what a lot of fans filled in was this. Ella Mai didn't want to share her spotlight. She didn't want to co-sign someone else eating off her moment. And whether that's fair or not, the damage was already done. Suddenly, people weren't just praising her vocals. They were questioning her character. And from there, the perception of unproblematic R&B darling started to shift. So let's take what we just learned. The silence, the image protection, the need for control, and apply it to something fans have really been side-eyeing for years. Her relationship with Jayson Tatum. Now, if you've been following the blogs, you already know this has been one of the worst-kept secrets in entertainment. They've never posted each other, never gone IG official, no red carpets, no birthday tributes, just subtle sightings and strategic silence. But fans, they've been connecting the dots since 2019. Ella at Celtics games, courtside, Jayson at her shows, front row, matching trips, quietly synced. Even her lyrics started hinting at a complicated love story that sounded a lot like being the hidden girlfriend of a rising NBA star. And here's where it gets interesting. In 2022, rumors swirled that they had a child together, not just dating, a whole baby. But again, no confirmation, no denial, just nothing. The blogs were buzzing, fan pages were analyzing photos, Reddit threads were on fire. But Ella, radio silence, and Jayson, same. It was so on brand, it almost felt scripted. Because think about it, everything about Ella Mai's image has been about control. From how she releases music, to who she collaborates with, to how she navigates controversy. So of course her personal life would follow the same rule. Say nothing, confirm nothing, keep it clean. But here's the downside of that strategy. When you never show anything real, people start wondering if there's anything there at all. In a world where artists are thriving off transparency, SZA airing out toxic relationships, Summer Walker exposing label drama, Beyoncé turning personal pain into full albums, Ella's silence is starting to feel less mysterious and more like a disconnect. Like, how do you sing so beautifully about heartbreak and love, but never let fans see the person behind those emotions? And look, We're not saying she owes the public her business, but when your entire brand is vulnerability through music, it feels kind of off when you won't even say who the songs are about, especially when your boyfriend is literally dropping 30 points on national TV every other night. It all ties back to that same hot take. Ella Mai's image was never organic, it was engineered. And this secretive, sanitized approach to love and fame, it might have worked in 2018, but in 2024, people want real. They want messy. They want raw. And Ella Mai's refusal to deliver that might be exactly why her buzz is quietly fading. Let's be real. Ella Mai's debut felt like a moment. Boo'd Up was the kind of hit that cuts through everything. You didn't need to be into R&B to feel it. It was catchy, nostalgic, and perfectly timed. Romance with a vintage vibe in a world full of toxic love anthems. The debut album followed the same formula: smooth vocals, clean production, a few DJ mustard-tagged bangers, and just enough vulnerability to keep people listening. But then, radio silence. Years passed. And when she finally returned with her sophomore album, Heart on My Sleeve, in 2022, it barely made a splash. Critics called it safe. Fans called it sleepy. And the numbers? Underwhelming compared to her debut. And it's not because the music was bad, it was because it sounded exactly like the first album. The same mid-tempo beats, the same guarded lyrics, the same vibe, no edge, no evolution, no risk. And here's the bigger issue. While Ella stayed stuck in 2018, the R&B world moved on without her. SZA was dominating with Cottrell, and later SOS, pouring her messy, real, chaotic truth into every bar. Summer Walker gave us heartbreak and healing all in one album. Ari Lennox tapped into black femininity with swagger and soul. Meanwhile, Ella, still singing about heartbreak but in a way that felt disconnected, like she was reading from a script instead of living the story. And again, it all circles back to the image. Ella Mai was built to be pristine, safe, marketable. But in an era where fans want to feel something, and feel like you're feeling it too, that polish starts to feel more like a wall. Even her features felt off. You'd expect bold moves, creative collabs, but instead, we got the standard safe bets. Babyface, Roddy Ricch, Latto, all solid, but none of them challenged her. It was like her team was scared to let her experiment, scared to let her mess up. And ironically, that fear of making mistakes might have been her biggest mistake of all. Because when you play everything too safe, people stop checking for you. Not because they don't like you, but because they already know what they're gonna get. And that predictability, it kills excitement. In a genre where heartbreak is currency and chaos sells records, Ella Mai's silence stopped being mysterious and started becoming forgettable. Because let's be honest, in today's R&B world, the messier you are, the more we believe you. SZA's singing about situationships with billionaires, sneaky links, and deleting her ex's number mid-album rollout. Summer Walker's putting her baby daddy and the entire London on Daytrack family tree on blast. Even Chloe Bailey's out here catching heat just for trying to be messy and still staying in the conversation. Meanwhile, Ella Mai, quiet, composed, distant, and not in a Beyoncé I'm above the drama way. More like, are you even still here? She never let the public into her emotional world. She never gave them access to the ugly parts. Her music was polished, yes. But where was the tension? Where was the confession? Where was the moment that made us pause and say, oh, she's really going through it? Even her breakup songs sound like they're being told secondhand. And look, we get it. Not every artist wants to spill their entire personal life on Instagram Live. Not everyone wants to air out their pain for clicks. But in the case of Ella Mai, the brand has become so tightly sealed, so PR filtered, that it stopped resonating. And that's the irony. The very thing that made her stand out, her calm, cool detachment, eventually became the reason people stopped connecting with her. Because when your audience can't feel you, they forget you. The fans who fell in love with Boo'd Up were craving a voice that matched the rawness of their own lives. But Ella never gave them the full picture. She gave them pretty songs, not personal ones. Stories, not stakes. And in R&B, that's the kiss of death. Because in this genre, we don't just want the vocals, we want the breakdown. The I went back to him even though he ghosted me for 3 days drama. The I saw her with someone else and still took her back vulnerability. We want mess. We want real. Ella Mai? She gave us none of it. And now, with newer, bolder artists dominating the charts and the conversation, her brand of glossy restraint feels like a relic, a holdover from a time when mystery was enough. But mystery only works when people are still curious, and these days, people just aren't. So where does that leave Ella Mai now? As of 2025, her estimated net worth sits around $6 million. Solid by industry standards, especially for someone with only 2 studio albums. She's still signed to 10 Summers and Interscope. She still performs. She still shows up at award shows and gets name-dropped in nostalgic playlists. But let's be real. Ella Mai is no longer in the conversation. She hasn't charted a single Boot Up or Trip in years. Her latest album, Heart on My Sleeve, didn't produce a cultural moment. Her visuals were clean, her vocals were polished, but nobody was talking. And in music, especially R&B, if they're not talking, they're not checking for you. Meanwhile, artists like Coco Jones, Victoria Monet, Jacquees, and even relative newcomers like F.Lo are building fan bases off unfiltered emotion, social media vulnerability, and songs that feel dangerously personal. Ella Mai, she's still giving us the same formula she launched with in 2018. And maybe that's the real tragedy here. Not that she fell off, but that she never fully showed up in the first place. Because here's the thing, the talent is undeniable. The voice, gorgeous. The tone, instantly recognizable. The potential, always there. But the lack of evolution, the tightly guarded image, the refusal to tap into the mess that makes R&B feel real, that's what made people quietly move on. She didn't burn out. She faded out. Now, can she come back? Absolutely. One raw performance, one vulnerable single, one messy lyric that cuts deeper than her usual polished heartbreaks, and she's back in the game. But she has to want to, and she has to risk showing people who she actually is, not just what her team wants her to be. Because the R&B game has changed. The girls are bleeding on the track now. They're naming names, crying on IG Live, clapping back at baby daddies, and turning their chaos into chart toppers. If Ella Mai wants to stay relevant, she's gonna have to let go of the perfect packaging, because perfect doesn't trend anymore. Ella Mai didn't just fall off, she was never built to last in the version of R&B we're living in now. She was packaged as timeless, but not vulnerable. Promoted as soulful, but never messy. And in this era, that's a recipe for fading into the background, fast. Because in today's music world, voice isn't enough. Not vocal cords, voice. As in, a point of view, a perspective, a willingness to put your flaws, fears, and heartbreak out there in the open, and let people feel it with you. And that's what Ella never gave us. She gave us the sound, she gave us the look, but she never gave us herself. Her silence isn't mysterious anymore. It's frustrating. Her privacy doesn't feel powerful, it feels distant. And her music, while beautiful, doesn't carry the weight of someone who's lived what she's singing. And the truth is, fans aren't waiting anymore. Because R&B is crowded now, with women who are raw, flawed, and fearless. Women who are telling their whole messy stories and making you feel every word of it. Ella Mai could still evolve. She could break the mold, rip off the label sheen, and finally give us something real. But until she does, she'll stay where she's been these last few years. Quietly talented, slightly forgotten, and sitting just outside the spotlight that once felt like it was made for her. Because in this version of R&B, perfection is out, honesty is trending. Do you think Ella Mai can make a comeback? Or is the moment gone for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments.